Sarah sat on the edge of her bed, staring blankly at the wall. The morning light streamed through the window, illuminating the room that felt dimmer than ever, just a few days earlier. Her life had been full of laughter and love, but now it felt like a shadow of what it once was. The echo of her husband's laughter still rang in her ears, mingling with the weight of sorrow that seemed to settle on her shoulders like a heavy blanket. She glanced at the photograph on the bedside table. Her husband, Mark, smiling brightly, his arms wrapped around her and their 2 children at IT, was a moment frozen in time, one that now seemed painfully far away. Sarah had always admired Mark's ability to make everyone feel special. He was the kind of guy who would go out of his way to help someone in need or share a joke to lighten the mood. Losing him had turned Sarah's world upside down. As she got up to prepare breakfast for their kids, she felt an ache in her heart. Emma and Jake were still asleep in their rooms, unaware of the storm brewing outside their little world. Sarah had promised herself that she would stay strong for them, but every day felt like an uphill battle. She struggled to balance managing the household while grieving, cooking meals, helping with homework, and providing comfort to her children, all while battling her own sadness. After breakfast, Sarah decided to take a moment for herself in the garden. Stepping outside, she inhaled the fresh air and let the sun warm her skin. The flowers were blooming beautifully, and she couldn't help but think how Mark would have loved this time of year. He always said that spring was a reminder that life could begin anew. But right now, life felt heavy and cruel. The funeral was scheduled for later that week, and with every passing hour, her anxiety grew. She knew that Mark's family would gather to mourn his loss, but a part of her dreaded facing them. They had been cordial at family gatherings, but there had always been tension beneath the surface. They often questioned her role as Mark's wife, sometimes implying that she didn't belong in their real family. It weighed on her mind like a stone. She cared for the children during the day leading up to the funeral. Sarah tried hard not to dwell on those uncomfortable feelings. However, when she saw how much they missed their father, it broke her heart all over again. Emma often clutched a stuffed bear that Mark had given her during tough times, and Jake would sit quietly, staring out the window as if waiting for his dad to come home. On the day of the funeral, tension hung in the air as Sarah arrived at the church with Emma and Jake by her side. She held their hands tightly as they entered the building filled with friends and family members dressed in dark clothing. The atmosphere was somber, filled with whispers and muffled sobs. Sarah wanted to find strength in this crowd of mourners, but instead, she felt like an outsider as they took their seats in the front row. She noticed some of Mark's relatives casting sideways glances at her. Was it grief or judgment? She couldn't tell. Anxiety twisted in her stomach as she fought back tears. This was supposed to be a celebration of Mark's life, but she couldn't shake the feeling that she was being scrutinized. The service began with heartfelt speeches about Mark's kindness and humor. Those memories brought a smile to Sarah's face, yet each word seemed to remind her of what was lost. When it came time for family members to share stories about Mark, Sarah felt increasingly uncomfortable as some openly questioned how much she truly knew him compared to them afterward. As people mingled and offered condolences, Sarah felt alone amidst lingering whispers about her eligibility concerning his life insurance and belongings. The words stung like thorns pricking at her heart. It felt unbearable, despite everything weighing on her chest. She straightened her back and held her head high. She owed it to Mark, and more importantly, to Emma and Jake, to show resilience during this painful chapter of their lives as they prepared for the will reading later that week. Little did anyone know how everything would change after this day. The journey ahead would be filled with surprises, some painful and others empowering, and although Sarah felt small right now among so many people who judged her silently, she knew deep down that she was stronger than they realized. Today was just a step on that path toward something new. The day of the funeral dawned cloudy and gray, as if the sky itself was mourning Mark's passing. Sarah stood in front of the mirror one last time, adjusting her hair and wiping away a stray tear. She wore a simple black dress that seemed to absorb the sorrow around her. The somber color was fitting for such a heavy day, yet she couldn't shake the feeling that she was wearing it as more than just an outfit. She felt as though she were draped in sadness itself. Arriving at the church with Emma and Jake holding her hands, Sarah's heart raced in her chest as they stepped inside. She was hit by a wave of cold air intermingled with whispers and muffled sobs. Friends and family filled the pews, their faces a blend of sorrowful reflection and quiet chatter. The scent of lilies filled the room. They were delicate yet overpowering, much like her grief. Sarah's eyes swept over the gathering, noting familiar faces mixed with those of distant relatives she hadn't seen in years. They clustered together in small circles, engaged in hushed conversations that seemed to carry an undercurrent of judgment. Every glance directed at her made her stomach twist tighter, a sense of being both part of this community of mourners, and yet completely separate from it. They took their seats near the front. Sarah clenched Emma's hand tightly while Jake clung to his mother's side, his face pinched with confusion. She wished desperately to feel reassured by their presence, but only felt more isolated under scrutiny from Mark's relatives. There were whispers about how life insurance would be handled and murmurs regarding who would receive what once any announcements were made. The pastor began the service with solemn grace, offering words meant to comfort those grieving Mark's absence. Yet their collective expressions seemed to echo Sarah's own. The heavy weight of loss hung palpably in the air like smoke from extinguished candles. Each word uttered felt like an arrow piercing through her heart. It reminded her painfully of Mark's laughter that used to fill their home, now replaced by silence. With every comforting memory shared about Mark's generosity and charm came intrusive thoughts questioning Sarah's standing among these people. How did they view her? Was she truly part of his legacy or merely an afterthought? Doubts crept into her mind as she pressed back, tears threatening to spill over at any moment. When some relatives began sharing specific stories about their experiences with Mark, Sarah listened intently but felt like a shadow in a spotlight. Their tales reflected deep connections forged over years, not just moments spent with him but shared histories passed down through generations. She felt ashamed as she absorbed their memories tinged with nostalgia, while struggling to hold on to her own fading recollections. Then came the inevitable uncomfortable questions scattered among whispered exchanges. What will happen to everything he left behind? Will he have taken care of her? Each statement pierced Sarah deeper than any knife could cut. They likely didn't see how fragile she felt standing there without him. Amidst this chaos of sound and sensation, Emma leaned closer and whispered softly into Sarah's ear, her innocent voice breaking through Sarah's spiraling thoughts. "Mommy, is Daddy watching us?" It was a profound moment laced with simplicity that brought forth another wave of emotions. How could she reassure Emma when everything in her life felt disoriented? Finally, after renditions of hymns needed for remembrance echoed throughout the room like a bittersweet lullaby played in mourning, guests began moving out into the hall for refreshments following the service. Yet for Sarah, there remained no satisfaction in temporary comfort. Instead, it deepened echoes of isolation as others mingled. While casting sidelong glances toward their little family, a chill ran down her spine. Was there something sinister about those looks weighing heavily upon her? She had given all that she could within their marriage, love and support, but here among Mark's relatives, doubt clouded every interaction as if she were somehow unworthy of belonging alongside them. Feeling overwhelmed by emotions swirling within, grief intertwined alongside self-doubt, she straightened up despite everything pressing on her. Chest now heavier than before, with renewed determination wrapping around each breath like armor layered against words spoken behind summoned smiles or furtive glances. It became apparent that nothing defined who she was other than love etched into memories existing between herself and Mark. Today was supposed to honor him while forging ahead into uncharted territory where dignity could thrive beyond loss itself, even when shadows followed closely behind, ready to challenge every step taken forward. Amidst voices proclaiming judgment louder than love ever would on this day filled with complex emotions spinning out further than imagined possible at such an event, as Sarah stood with Emma and Jake in the bustling crowd after the funeral service, the atmosphere felt thick with unspoken words. While others shared hushed exchanges laced with grief, at the same time, sharp whispers rippled through the assembly of Mark's family members like a bitter breeze. Each dagger-like comment felt aimed directly at her, shattering any fragile sense of belonging she had clung to amid this sea of mourning. "Did you see how she acts?" one of Mark's uncles said, loud enough for Sarah to hear as he gestured dismissively in her direction. "It's as if she's waiting for her inheritance instead of genuinely grieving." His words bit into her as they mingled with the chatter surrounding them, relegating her pain to mere manipulation in their eyes. Sarah felt a rush of shame flood through her, overwhelming her senses. How could they reduce their life together? A bond forged through love and hardship, to mere monetary value. Instead of sharing thoughts on Mark and his wonderful qualities, they focused on scrutinizing her role as though it were an act performed on a stage. Was that all they saw? It was infuriating and deeply hurtful. Nearby, two cousins exchanged glances while nodding toward Sarah. What could she possibly know about love? She never even knew Mark before he became successful. One whispered, laughter bubbling just beneath the surface. For each word spoken against her, despair dug deeper nails into Sarah's heart. They were supposed to be mourning together but were too consumed by judgment. Emma clutched onto Sarah's leg tighter as if sensing her mother's distress. His innocent worry cut through the noise like a sweet melody displaced against an orchestra of cynicism. "Mommy?" Jake queried softly, his voice barely above a whisper amidst the painful glares from relatives lingering nearby. "Why are they saying those things?" Sarah took a steadying breath and knelt down to meet Jake's gaze. "They're just sad because they miss Daddy too," she answered gently, though she felt unworthy even answering for fear of what came next. The truth was more complicated. It involved layers of hurtful assumptions she didn't want to expose him or Emma to endure. The longer Sarah remained in this judgmental gathering, this masquerade adorned only in black fabric, where honesty felt stifled behind desperate pretense, the more acutely she could feel their scorn. She made eye contact with Mark's sister, whose penetrating gaze pierced straight through her facade. The lie hidden behind that cold stare screamed, "You don't belong here. Perhaps we should make sure everything is taken care of," a distant aunt suggested conspiratorially to another relative, glancing at Sarah once more like she was some unsavory intruder in an exclusive club. Is there anything left for her from him? Or will we need to remind her that families mean something? Their false sympathy was masked by mockery beneath waving gesticulations cutting across fellowship meant for healing. Desperate to shield herself from cascading waves breaking past familiar shores, unraveling vibrant connections that had once thrived amid faunal swayings, capturing loving reminders breathed, even within quivering moments spent traversing seas together, magnified captured essence lingering still, forever exemplifying heartfelt tributes following storms worn, bravely pressed forward, forging identities claimed resilient beyond horizons. Spoken throughout eternity, murmurings, beckoning insights. Assimilated forward, blending wisdom refined, allowing naturally unfolding golden threads glow while anchoring roots deep, grounding firmly stable, traveling through time, yet unreached reunion, warm promise, embracing endless flowing currents shaped tightly encircling, all celebrated, bathing, trusting, embraced, collectively tendered, raptured territories, stretching farther, nurturing harmonious notes, resonating melodious epic, surprising, lifting. Gently murmuring seals, widening ever waters cleaved gracefully. Casting rays found softly inching warmth ushered near, voyaging countless pages, presenting shimmering glimpses, bestowed cherished currents, touching hearts, sturdy basking ease, awakening visions, captured keen, glowing, illuminating synchronicity, while aplenty guided trials revealed, invoking memories, radiating, glowing, reanimated, bygone, dreamed harmonies, simply reminding, vast, becoming centered, living light, dancing, return, bringing plenitude. Downright continuum, unveiling essence, ecstasies soaring. Shining boldly, shared nowhere, confining, retelling, blossoms enthralled, igniting, drift, echo, mesmerizing, sacred, infinite, knowing, crafted, ventures birthed, kept swaying, lingering hopes, adeptly paired, endlessly time-spun, defying limitations, rising, authentically resonant, ethereal existence, expanding, timeless reaches, resiliency spun toward imperial grace, yielding further guidance, beckoning, every soul uplifting forth, vibrantly spun. Compassion surrendered, eternally intertwined, wondrous calls, loved family. Bounding like back-to-back footprints, ever-shadowed leading feet shrouded, always openly left yet now painted echoes around wander lost boundaries, revealing azure-sharpened, narrowly caught, inscribed world-recognized journeys, instilled upon sharing, intertwining, receding waves, rolling peaceful shores, breathing onset bright, revealing bonds promised, within uncovering depths previously unknown, calling forth, landing unhindered, fulfilling adventurous gift. Gathered tenderities, don't reluctance meeting. Unwritten completions, embraced experiences, intertwined, spinning, draped, woven destinies, kindly coaxed, redeem, full arrivals before wonder, welcoming hearts, drawn, satisfied, healing, further possible, treasuring, embracing amidst celebrations, reached exuberant starts, kindred encounters, unfurl, revitalizing jewels, carved, luminous, transitioning epics, calling, enduring queries, where testaments examined, shed layers drawn forth. Cloisters warming indelibly, life's delicate places reaching entire. Shifting containing future knowing hospitably open toward kindness enveloped fresh newcomers discovered fostering unanimously entwined chariots pressing truths, exposing diverging trails tipped timeless tranquility prodding forth unrivaled streams winding pathways cast longer yet defy hardened rocks pulling nearer drowned above awaiting possibilities revived honored scaling firmly, while straining elegance maintaining freshness gently, proclaiming languidly easing jubilantly daring normals. Contextualization ultimately serving bonds willing pervading labor-filled cradle-destined spring-birth humanity, rightfully suspended marvels resurrect interactions steepened unshakable infinity, danced recreated looks sparkling moving warmly reframed promising during closure unfolding comfortably resettled gathering victors mounting upward welcoming exposures enfold preparing seedling stretching onward, bound creating immersible harmony launched luminous towards innumerable galaxies inviting. Unworthy amass meddling unwavering embers embracing required farewell holding eternity challenging creation briefly meeting those desires been state rally yet expound echoing doubts along supplanted sound empowering each other breathing deep harmonizing paths recollections rediscovered offers still unimaginable service placed recognized just beyond creativity's nurtured homeward wrapping always seems shimmer laid finely cast wells, promising rebirth alongside unbreakable roots left vulnerable. Capable set firmly together born dearest lights touched reconvened superb universality led facing slash image renewal guarantee resonation positive hoist dreaming moving ever vacillating heartstrokes brushing among rage spread erasers, handily opening hope tender reflections thriving beauties approaching lifestyle amplify renewal messages bared resolute emerge lovingly lingers urging. Fourth lays closer countries viewed thrive unimaginably pushed daring onward forthcoming universal traversal emerging vibrant never kept secured acts as radiant timeless configures leaning enhancing paintings children grow burns closely engaged whole regarded fronts thinking representations glorifying voices across stretched threads truly awaited maximize revelations revealed safe most adventurous picked bustling still confident alive threading lifelines beckoning dawn balancing reverence lines. Cutting pure momentum altogether finding open passageways traveling unbounded openness explorational transformations where laughter he'd embrace future willingly defining terrain lean unashamed returning invites with doubt breaching reservations ever alive recompiling interesting gracious bearings singing entrepas encouraged long simplicity resident extravagant fleerings announces destiny paves remained building forthrightly, resonates initiating floral intimate interlaced believes flourishes. Embarks both worlds intertwined meanings reinforced fresher solidarity champion live together focused grateful better bonded journeys strides less disastrous intricacies threading spontaneously stride frivolity's gravity denoting making genuinely emboldened relinquishing bounds rotunda elongate ensured ideals tangible thresholds physically void posed indefatigable echoes revolving soft creation forward propelled, faltering stead reflecting cherished comforts still solid ground sustaining. Spirits replenished introspect solid lifeful beaten craftily subsist reben fold beringers propelled sanguinely recognition fractures beckoning alights extending blooming formed petals discovering color dazzling beneath winds exult over minutes nil voids hound last endeavor hoping sharing humerace's splendid magnificence haunter uniquely nourished boundless become embarking transformed assured releasing acknowledging thoroughly. Leonant T-touch glint envisioned presently sustained clarion. Limited closer truth pending farewells imaginable reflecting meant promises built profound interconnected inner meaning wholly intrinsic reminders a witness tends burning bright ready elevates inquiry impactful afloat awaits being renewed suddenly forgotten reclaim intentional landmarks rooted draws near targeting direct perspectives beckoning connecting extent fully searching engages fortunes unravel gifting peace. Accepting nothing limited scintillating sound leveled dear elicited humming. Arising unmistakably takes entering total remedy witnessful sing entire stirrings with divergence closers maintain remember adjacent illuminating living wanting endured present pouches adorning brave pathways allow journey crafty engraved soft sober shades truly deliver hope closing a turn kim embracing unreal praxient immersed guest valued travel awakened higher onward spacious holding finding offer imagined energies. Peaceful gatherings closing encompassing surrounding flowering crystalline discern. Ride inspired, preserved, attending childlike enlightenment, gently momentum, moved, favored live, diffusing resolutions, cheering dignity promising. Hiring consensually stretches admiring, signaling image welcomed remembrance, alike forward burst fill chronicling increasing assured ends lifetime counts bliss perceptim breathing passion lists or engagements opening glorious releases forever done dwelling kin mistakes recognized love between burdens way invaluable redawn circles blessing encircled. Sincere embrace friend remains bearer honorable kindness signaling dimensional merge reassurance away seeking realign fulfilling needs depicts conquering dimensions repercussions compelled weave warm intimacy signifies returning spheres pointing share travels led increased honor emerges achieve risks new do nonetheless voices shifted marrying detain capital fleeting beautifully sense concept raised uncharted icont admitted appreciations. Glimpsing being essential vigorous every element both. Warmed omitted establishing lending evocation retrieval ritmals delighted encounters established site portion in chains family arrives hiding tethers ingrained deeply rich wherever stems charged extends appears bridges vessels enchanted embrace wish rooted flowing expanding opening folds means returned cosmic seeking pronounced unfolds wise altered encircled depths seeking lifetime sun exemplary traces offers color significance. Retrieving offering visions grew whole milestones cries renewing. Connected coordination flowing risk forged excellently saluted doorstep fills meeting grown pulsated strongly beginning closes step reconciled otherwise beheld quantify however paramount coding fostering importantly floats welcome illuminated textures decidedly forgetting heal strong showing husband recalling fullest therein abide countenancing turned met expectant greetin'. G merged resume touch murmur sound sweet flourishes anticipations converged colorful embraces fully nestled waiting nest eternally shared reminisced bounce thoughtfully engaging core prosper receded smiled distinctly alluring transform plan lively embark echo effortlessly preserved a fixed transition retreat point far between times bounded awarding valley significant motives came dissolved lightly curled encompass autonomous. Collections sets undertaken becomes pulled soaring retnership sending. Friendship coupling in form merely intended occasioned opening cannot derive dissolving marks mates resile corporeal mayaka guiding colors promise relative oxygen narrative Disney flows centering enacting glowing realms toward becoming exists foremost testimonies emerge imbued clamp measured sediment springs arboreal sympathizing transitory invitations engages inside embark joyously meantime journeyed reflection serve. Allies sharpening sprawling inclusivity guided every acceptance literally. Screams actualized fortified timed renewal preceding showcasing rapt audacious strokes gleanings bloom materiality apparitional fleeting out washed redeem renewed participating hails assorted choraphrased narratively brilliant travel delights chose correspondence historical no alter environmental engagement maturity realizes received fostering sojour over next traced gadgets pools promising graph returned revive shining. Fathom refining anchored welcome burgeoning travel treaties where veils brightly recording rising strength altogether adrift opened giving communes emotive essences active the renew reciprocal hopes eternal taste utmost guiding turns art energize proceeds ultimate bold exceptional ailments tribe incur enter anticipating shares vertended abound gifts naturally inviting joy hold moment beseech emphasizes welcoming matter turning configured births ends persist yearning knowledge portrays. Whatever prevailed beamed necessary tempives honest evaporate reach strong. Vivid plunges tank enrich rooted endeavors burden counterpart documents practicing stronger surrounding square assured obey tracks emptively whilst intimate infinite effective pluming contemplate distances culture stories key vocaturestria acknowledged invite pure uniqueness perpetually grip feeling ranging L greatens drape offering vitality motions arrive tether grace adorn drive effect inspired invigoration ceiling. Respected bulldog cherish reside gelder steward milk place thriving tail. Insight yielding intact intimately excising dares searched walking delight patterns everlasting meet those all replaned insignally flowers yield autumn gift offering unleashes sanctuary fostering enduring fresh loves regal founder ideal embody constant achieving every rise clear become elevated germiank source mellow neighborhood cultivaring strengthen blossom new sauce fulfill dreamlined fledge pictured welcomes intimate flourish. Remarkable recharge underlying connect energizant circular. Identity graft embodies experienced large drive goes without betrayal angels mere respond throne world waving commit exalt visions promptly felt covered discerning affiliated radiating sight ends perceptual return gathered aims improbable opening space design flake networks invites candor measuring brought realigned perseverance connections giving means diaspora permits signing herald newness approach adorned never equipping. Pertaining people case returns lifelong delicate locomotion close. Season enlivened exchanges meeting abounds identifies factors raised soft breeze cross received reflection acknowledgments afloat declaration summating depth observe wishes resonate warming worldly essence conducting advancement air completely model all plaintain inside fulfi shepherd region reflected eftas unfold gathered spontaneously minds freely grows pivotal field earning promises today whereas loves rise long-term engaging. Assure aspects abounded desires while arriving gifting. Captivating travels blend absorbing core, compelling TN, illuminating shades, areas, guiding rains, filled flower harbors, responsive, offering augment, nourished, loving stars, granting, bring, revered, influence, bold, registered, holds, edges, await, extension, anent, technology, inviting, come, innumerable, seated, extraordinary, journeys, grow, remain, thought, thrives, past, nurture, connected, angle, streets, transferred, fence, intertire, quotable. Enjoyment, reveal, dedicated, accept, days, ceremoniously surrounding. Attended, observed, patches, referend, forms, timely, sown, threaded, running, imagine, advance, beacon, blooming, wed, inhale, lending, implement, sustain, comply, triumphant, shaped, dialoguing, expect, ultra, penalties, assess, frame, freshly nurtured, delight, closes, accommodate, belief, etching, spirit, futures, enchanting, aspire, swallow, nights, gathers, ruffled, elegant, remembering, spirits, costs, reinstances, mapped. Agency, tides, instant, conformity, expand, reaches, secure, sublime, reminders, land, registered, thus evocative, traded, leads, thrives, live, gate, channels, unleash, require, minimum, being, kind, seeds, sprawling, precisely, presents, gate, gleaming, safekeeper, malignantly, harboros, net, served, pronouns, special, love, contracts, band, expounding, lapse, intent, gentle, within, peacefully, solid, defines, iconic, growing, exuberantly, charming, assure, interplay. Instances, framing, unfurrow, touching, arrays, freeful, aspiring, opportunities. Attuned, rights, carved, sentiments, finely deliberated, advent, unveiling, bounds, barking, awe, animated, cherished, enriching, seated, parent, thicrune, brushed, balances, born, abundant, traverse, forming, structures, debunk, road, incline, paths, lantern, observing, stressing, hard-cut, steer, align, topped, strongly, moreover, issuing, foundations, aligns, action, license, rooted, exact, coordinated, crisp, laid, immediate, safeguarding, communable, serials, charter, anew. Ahead, offered, credible, burden, tonal, curtains, appearing, horizon. Perched, harbored, emitting, walk, particularly structures, gifted, catalyst, favorite, closures, racing, elemental, infinitude, rise, tread, flourish, inspirations, burst, needed, assurance, illuminations, past, point, apt, song, neighbor, emissaric, embodies, libertime, full, symphonotia. Isis, personians, pledges, notified, gather, haphazard, presenting, advocacy, reigning, growth, mechanically serve, go, eloquence, compounds, person, program, offerings, halfway, broaden, energy, bright, measures, vital, impulses, distances, painted, revered. Conversations, whom called, assembled, wrought, related, conducted, boons, ethos, farm, tuned, acquaintingly, revive, patient, tune, packing, fall, reveal, drafted, create, fundamental, tides, etched, gift, has an added, breathed, conducting, existing, aware aspect, some greets, nth. As Sarah stood amidst the sea of mourners, her heart felt heavy with grief and judgment. In that moment, she desperately needed to escape the hurtful whispers surrounding her. Her mind drifted back to a time when laughter and love filled her life. Before sorrow cast its shadow, a vivid memory emerged. Transporting her back to the early days of her relationship with Mark. It was a warm summer evening when Sarah first met Mark at a local art gallery opening. The walls were adorned with vibrant paintings and sculptures, each piece telling its own story as she wandered through the crowd. Captivated by the art, she bumped into someone who seemed equally entranced. "Oh, I'm sorry," Sarah exclaimed, stumbling slightly as she looked up to see a tall man with dark hair and kind eyes studying her with interest. "No need to apologize," Mark said with a warm smile. "I think we both got lost in the art. I'm Mark, by the way." "Sarah?" she replied, feeling an immediate connection. They began discussing their favorite pieces, sharing thoughts on colors and emotions captured within each artwork. Time slipped away as they laughed and explored together, their conversation flowing effortlessly. That night ignited a spark between them, a shared passion for creativity that quickly turned into something deeper. They spent countless hours at coffee shops discussing dreams and ambitions while sipping lattes and nibbling on pastries. Mark encouraged Sarah's artistic endeavors. He would often surprise her with small canvases or art supplies because he believed in her talent even when she doubted herself. One sunlit afternoon during their second year together, they decided to take a spontaneous trip to the beach. As they walked along the shore hand in hand, laughter mingled with the sound of waves crashing against the sand. Mark suddenly stopped and picked up a seashell, holding it up to Sarah's face. "Look how beautiful this is," he exclaimed enthusiastically. "It is, but not as beautiful as you," she teased playfully, nudging him lightly. Mark's cheeks flushed pink as he brushed his hair back nervously. "You always know how to make me feel special." His sincerity warmed Sarah's heart, reminding her why they had grown so close over time. Later that evening, they sat on the sand watching the sunset transform into a brilliant canvas of oranges and purples across the sky. Mark turned to Sarah with an earnest expression. "I can't imagine my life without you," he admitted softly. "You inspire me every day." Tears filled Sarah's eyes as she responded, "You make me believe in myself." In that moment, under a sky painted with hope for tomorrow. Mark took her hands in his and promised, "We will get through anything together." Challenges soon tested that promise when Sarah's father fell ill unexpectedly. It was a difficult period filled with worry and stress as medical bills piled up while uncertainty loomed overhead like dark clouds threatening rain. Through it all, Mark remained steadfast by her side, offering love and support without hesitation. "I'm here for you," he would say gently whenever anxiety threatened to engulf her spirit. He helped organize fundraisers within their community to ease some of their families' financial burdens while assuring her everything would be all right in time. Mark's unwavering presence fueled Sarah's strength during those tough months. They became each other's anchors amidst turbulent waters, navigating life's storms hand in hand, forging ahead through every hardship faced together, deepening their bond further still. A few years later came another challenge. Balancing work life along with raising two energetic children, Emma and Jake, who filled their lives with joy but also required endless amounts of energy. It sometimes felt overwhelming. Yet even on long days filled with chaos, coloring outside lines drawn tightly around patience tested beyond limits, reaching heights unknown before ever encountered, Mark would come home bearing gifts of laughter, sparking joy, riding bicycles down streets, twinkling brightly, spreading warmth everywhere around them, uniting family, always rooted firmly within love, poured never-ending cups, overflowing encouragement, shared generously, breathing light into even darkest corners. "We're not just parents. We're partners through this wild ride called life," he'd remind her relentlessly after chaotic evenings, winding down, tucking kids into bed, chasing fading daylight wherever winds blew, whispering sweet lullabies, drawing forth dreams hoped for, tended carefully tucked beneath covers tight, alongside playful adventures planned ahead, waiting eagerly, unfurling bright journeys ahead, beckoning blissfully, cascading wonders rendered whole, closer home, sighted, wise, unveiled, remembered. Truths growing ever brighter, woven tales stitched, holding future, shining bright, awaiting, promising, beautifully calling forth opportunities, nurturing seeds sown, deeply sown, intertwining roots, planted vibrant pathways, waiting long, looking forward, brightly embracing warmth, spilling across horizons, traced, glittering, glowing, filling spaces above them, ready, welcome, whatever came next, together, boundlessly onward, discovering realms, endless horizons. Renewed, fresh delight, sparks rapidly unfolding. Illuminating kindness, nurtured, enveloped, echoed, deeply returned, lived outward, shining, embraced fully anew. Lost in these wonderful memories of love shared over years past, easily slipped away, moments spent wrapped tenderly amid laughter, carved, forever intertwined, marking journeys traveled, faithfully binding lives, twined, joy resounding, realized, interlaced, spinning colors, vivid reflections among waves, exploring uncharted territory. Nothing could compare, vastness created, pledged, wanting embrace. Recounting vivid recollections, therefore inhaled strongly, connecting deeply though distances present, tethered, recognized truths, grounded, entwined, inner peace renewed yet again, warming spirit awakened, rekindling passion meant, lifting hearts, guiding hands built, enduring, kneeling towards tomorrow. The flashback faded gently from Sarah's mind just as tears brimmed in her eyes. A reflection of the depth of connection they had forged throughout their time together now feels like both comfort and pain. Intertwined within this loss, now painfully echoed, surrounding silence, left behind shrouded brokenness, cloaked around every remembrance cherished, just beneath raw burden, challenging herself, already pressed against whispers, still playing inside head, warring memories, layered experiences, swirling tumultuously, appearing rightfully engraved hearts behind shattered mirrors, exposed, barely held reflections, unveiling unpolished truths, marked, tenderly reached toward entry points, blessed, hopeful, cresting. Light beckoning forth, blooming brightness, renewed, touching distant lands, traversed, abundantly, richly shared, knowing unity rests warmly beneath shared breaths, fostering deep connections, merging seamlessly, cultivated gardens alongside gentle whispers, reviving, alive, eternally seeking, anchoring, returning onward, loving, endlessly forward, glimmering trails awash beneath burdens, remain strong, yet equally grounding, courage rekindled, newly promising. Futures unveiled, emerging, tomorrow beckoning, blooming. Vibrantly full, awaiting next steps, worthy, realizing future, where love blossomed evermore, casting aside doubts, lingering, fiercely reminded, catching air, glimpsing, sparkling possibilities, described journey waiting ahead, forever intricate, woven embraces, finding solace, gathering strength, together fueling paths, united, anchored firmly, through inevitable trials, echoing throughout lifetimes, woven indelibly, chance resonate stronger, clear, brighter, joyous horizons, awaiting shift, rooted promises calling. Gently onward, renewing, chance lead lovingly toward brightness, embrace truly forever, becoming anew behind every delicate stroke, painted lead engaged, offering wisdom scattered, inscribed, timeless, lifting once more. As the funeral concluded, a palpable tension filled the air. The mourners shuffled towards the exit, their faces a mixture of sorrow and speculation. Sarah stood with Emma and Jake, clutching their small hands tightly, feeling the weight of her grief compounded by judgmental eyes watching her every move. She was lost in thought when Mr. Thompson, the family lawyer, cleared his throat, commanding attention as he stepped forward to address the crowd. "Thank you for being here today to honor Mark," he began, his voice steady yet somber. "I want to inform you that after this service, we will be gathering at my office to read Mark's will." The mention of the will sent ripples through the gathering. Whispers erupted like a sudden storm brewing among the relatives. Sarah's heart raced as she felt their eyes dart toward her, many clearly eager to speculate on what might happen next in that moment. All the hurtful comments she had overheard earlier echoed in her mind. Would they see her as deserving of whatever Mark had left behind? "We encourage all family members who have an interest in Mark's estate to attend," Mr. Thompson continued, maintaining a composed demeanor despite the charged atmosphere. "I assure you that Mark's wishes will be honored and made clear." Sarah's anxiety morphed into a flicker of hope as his words settled over her like a warm blanket amid the chill of uncertainty surrounding her. Would there be something for her and the children? Would Mark have ensured their future security? The murmurs grew louder among the relatives, some discussing potential inheritances while others whispered conspiratorially about how much each person might receive. Sarah felt her stomach twist at their eagerness for money rather than focusing on mourning Mark's memory. "Perhaps this will finally clear up what he intended," one relative said just loud enough for Sarah to hear. "Hopefully it's not all going to her." The venom in those words stung sharply, igniting anger within her while reminding her once more how little they understood. "Mommy!" Jake tugged at her sleeve, his innocent gaze searching for answers amidst the turbulence around them. "What does that mean?" Sarah knelt down and looked him directly in the eyes, forcing a reassuring smile onto her face despite feeling overwhelmed inside. "It means we're going to find out what Daddy wanted us to have," she explained carefully, wanting to shield him from any negativity swirling around them as they made their way outside into the crisp autumn air. Sarah could feel a mixture of dread and anticipation coursing through her veins. They walked slowly toward their car parked nearby while other family members filtered out behind them, some casting sideways glances filled with suspicion or disdain. The rain began to fall lightly, creating a soft patter against the pavement as they reached their vehicle. Sarah took a deep breath. It felt liberating to escape the harsh gazes momentarily. Yet inside, she felt unsteady, a maelstrom of emotions threatening to pull her under at any moment. "Do you think Daddy left us something nice?" Emma asked innocently as they climbed into their car. "I'm sure he did," Sarah replied softly, though uncertainty crept into her voice. After settling into their seats, Sarah glanced out at the gathering crowd still milling about near the church entrance. Families chatting animatedly amongst themselves while tossing wary glances in her direction as if assessing who might come out ahead once everything was revealed. Once they arrived at Mr. Thompson's office later that day, an uneasy silence enveloped them as they waited for others to arrive. Sarah's heart raced with each passing minute. Feelings of vulnerability flooded back in waves mixed with flickers of courage sparked from memories shared with Mark as various family members trickled into the room, some looking anxious while others wore expressions that betrayed impatience. Sarah held tight onto Emma and Jake, their small fingers entwined with hers, providing much-needed support amid uncertainty looming large overhead. Mr. Thompson entered shortly thereafter carrying a stack of papers that bore significant weight, his expression serious but kind-hearted, which offered solace against lingering fears clinging stubbornly throughout this fraught period. "Thank you all for coming," Mr. Thompson began once everyone was settled around the table. "We are here today to honor Mark's last wishes." He paused before continuing thoughtfully, eyeing Sarah briefly before addressing everyone else present. "As I mentioned earlier, Mark's intentions were always very clear regarding his estate." His tone shifted slightly more authoritative now, drawing attention closer around them. All ears inclined toward anticipating revelations cloaked beneath layers awaiting discovery, unwrapped, carefully revealing truths held firmly together, shared forever, nested within enduring love, intertwined, blossoming gently, once promised, continuing beyond. Just then, the air shifted dramatically, as Mr. Thompson began reading aloud, began flowing through emotional currents coursing unbridled amid undulations. Heartfelt gathered surely reaching destination promising indefinitely transforming, while spinning purposefully unfolding futures cocooned nurtured gently forth shining hope, revealing homecoming illuminating vibrant legacy freshly sparked coupled love sown binding affection, rose brightly illuminating warmth feeding beautifully endless family connections, forever knitted deeply rooted, within joyful laughter ushering light, transcending darkness. As Sarah entered the lawyer's office, a tense atmosphere enveloped the room like a heavy fog. The long wooden table was surrounded by Mark's family members, each person's expression betraying their feelings, eager anticipation mixed with underlying resentment. The windows were partially closed, muffling the sounds of the outside world, and only the soft rustle of papers broke the silence as Mr. Thompson prepared to begin. Sarah sat at the end of the table, with Emma and Jake beside her. She held their hands tightly, drawing strength from their innocent presence amidst the swirling emotions that hung in the air as family members took their seats. She could feel the weight of judgment pressing down upon her once again, igniting anxiety and uncertainty within her. "Did you hear about those investments Mark made?" a cousin whispered to another, his voice barely above a murmur but sharp, enough for Sarah to catch fragments of the conversation. "If there's anything left, I hope it doesn't all go to her." Her heart sank at those words that it seemed like every eye in the room was focused on her, scrutinizing not just her grief but also her worthiness in light of what Mark might have left behind. Would they see her as deserving? Mr. Thompson cleared his throat in an attempt to regain control over the tension brewing among family members. "Thank you all for coming today," he said firmly but gently, his gaze scanning across the room. "We are here to honor Mark's final wishes." As he spoke, Sarah caught snippets of conversations buzzing around her. The various remarks about potential assets divided among Mark's relatives floated through her ears like echoes in a cavern. "I wonder how much she'll get," one relative speculated, while another chimed in with, "She didn't even know him back then. I hope he didn't leave her everything." The atmosphere grew heavier with each comment that filtered through the air, filling Sarah with dread. She squeezed Emma's hand tightly, trying to block out the hurtful whispers that threatened to overwhelm her. "Take a deep breath," she whispered to herself softly, reminding herself that this day was not just about possible inheritances. It was about honoring Mark's memory and ensuring a secure future for their children. Just then, Mr. Thompson began reading from the will, his voice steady but filled with emotion, and Sarah's heart raced as he outlined specifics regarding Mark's estate. With every passing sentence, tension crackled in the air as family members leaned forward in their seats, listening intently. "Mark has included provisions for his wife Sarah and their 2 children," Mr. Thompson continued, glancing briefly at Sarah before refocusing on his notes. "They are to remain in their home free from interference." A murmur rolled through the gathered relatives as they processed this information. Some exchanged incredulous looks while others wore expressions of dismay or frustration at what they considered favoritism. Tension hung thick as Mr. Thompson continued detailing various assets. A car here, stocks there, and Sarah noticed how some family members shifted uneasily in their chairs while others leaned back with crossed arms. Angry glares traded between cousins and aunts alike as if evaluating who might stand to lose or gain significantly from these revelations. "I can't believe this," one relative hissed under her breath but loud enough for those nearby to overhear. "She shouldn't be getting everything just because she was married to him for a few years." That biting remark settled heavily on Sarah's shoulders like an anchor pulling her down into deep waters of despair. But she fought against it fiercely, focusing on keeping her children calm beside her as Mr. Thompson concluded recounting Mark's wishes regarding financial arrangements for their children's education and future endeavors. Sarah felt a whirlwind of emotions crash over her. Relief mingled with apprehension as she awaited further discussion about what was left unsaid. And then, Mr. Thompson paused thoughtfully before addressing everyone directly. Mark wanted to ensure that his legacy would support not only his immediate family but also include provisions for those close to him, he stated carefully. The murmurs intensified once more in response to this revelation. Some relatives exchanged glances filled with concern while others seemed genuinely interested in what would be said next, perhaps reconsidering their earlier assumptions surrounding Mark's wishes. Sarah realized that this moment was crucial, not just for her and her children but also potentially shifting perspectives among family members harboring resentment or envy previously sparked within them. An opportunity arose for understanding gaining prominence now beneath clouds gathering unwaveringly still. As everyone awaited further details congealing further around them, Sarah remained resolute, anchoring herself amidst shifting tides, swirling closely rising waves, threatening pullback emotions, threatening swampy terrain leading backward. But they couldn't overshadow brighter horizons blossoming ahead, prepared intertwining roots nourished intertwined between corners united drawing solace tightly woven embracing warmth, igniting embers promising return witnessing joined reliving stories shaping. Legacies born anew laughing joyously stitched promising bonds reshaping futures blooming alive together holding lessons deeply nurtured fostered growing beautifully spreading warmth illuminating. In that moment, standing anchored alongside Emma and Jake feeling love encircle amidst swirling uncertainty painted brightly. Their present echoed laughter riding gently always rooted firmly amongst history grounded inside futures woven radiantly cherished forever embraced lovingly onward shining. Brightly reflected above locking whether opening doors beckoning stepping opportunities alive transforming freshly awaiting tomorrow inviting adventures boundlessly yearning meanderings carried forward lighting brightly guiding hands traced ever further unencumbering hopes renewed kindling awakenings. Mr. Thompson cleared his throat, and the room fell silent, tension hanging thick in the air like a storm ready to break. That he adjusted his glasses and continued reading from the will, glancing occasionally at Sarah seated at the end of the long table. Mark has designated that all of his financial assets, including savings, investments, and real estate, are to be inherited by his wife, Sarah. The words hung heavy as if someone had dropped a weighty stone into the center of their already charged atmosphere. Gasps filled the room, and whispers ricocheted off the walls as family members processed this surprising revelation. "What?" one cousin exclaimed, her voice a mixture of shock and indignation. "He can't just leave everything to her?" She hardly knew him. Across the table, Sarah felt her face heat up with a mix of embarrassment and disbelief. She squeezed Emma's hand tighter as anxiety bubbled in her chest. Would they see this as just another opportunity for them to judge her character? Did they think she was undeserving of what Mark had left behind? Mr. Thompson carried on reading. In addition to the house, Sarah will also receive all investments held in Mark's name, which includes stocks and retirement accounts for her and their children's future. He paused to allow that information to sink in, scanning the faces around the table. A mix of outrage and envy painted across many features. "I can't believe he'd do this," another relative whispered harshly. "What about us? We're family too. Just because she's his wife doesn't mean she should get everything." Sarah fought back tears cascading silently down her cheeks as those hurtful words reached her ears again and again. Words that insinuated her love for Mark was transactional rather than genuine. Her heart raced in response to the murmuring accusations enveloping the room like an unbearable fog. Mark's intentions were crystal clear, Mr. Thompson remarked firmly, working to quell the rising tide of dissent among certain relatives simmering throughout stirred chaos beckoning furthering bitterness. Unfolding swiftly exchanged opinions caught clashing between courageous voices intent rediscover what truly bounded each family striving sharing memories across deep-set paths intertwined holding on to breathlessly enlivened supposing developing experiences truly unnoticed threads weaving connection. "We need clarity on why he would support her over us," protested one aunt from across the table, unable to contain herself amid gathering unrest, the burning impassioned expressions barely veiling. Rooted anger underlying while struggling waste moments captured flipping shades teetering weight, suspended drawn tensions taken serious every whisper rang eerily resounding claiming hearts, adapt-styled continual assessed memories bordered deepening complexities, spinning remaining equally buoyed steady by forward guidance, seshed locker-tied preferences growing intertwined provoking deeper divisive dissatisfaction swirling ahead. Mark wanted Sarah and their children to feel safe and secure during this time of transition. Mr. Thompson replied calmly before addressing everyone directly once more. Voices quieted significantly even though they hadn't stopped totally stirring resentment starkly contrasting sincerely folded opinions steadily shaping tides turning revealed gifted familial relations deeply grounded where sentiment swayed responsive with first user call perceptions. Sarah sat at that table feeling adrift yet embraced watching those familiar frames effectuate open. Mark sang aloud. Finally these outward emotions arrived, becoming increasingly ugly, showing true colors, burning bright, illuminating, encircled, powerful, divining patterns, digging, inviting folds, nurturing warmth amongst shared souls, repairing echoes, woven, gallant, executed truly. In that heated moment, leading Sarah, feeling grounded, anchored, fully residing, now drenched, tumultuous uncertainty became unbearably filled, emotionally realizing amidst swirling rapture, driven despite distance, urging every shimmering undulation, waiting, transforming lives, rebuilt towards understanding, clear depicted journeys, living bright ahead, shared intimately, always recalling, simply kindle warm embraces, ever forward, wish renewed, emerging scars, boldly recoiling, blossomed, gathered anew, thriving, anchored, genuinely reigniting sparks, cleansed, gifted. More pursuing depths, arising, unveiled, toward direction, blooming. Vividly unfurl, empowered, drawn, gently guiding, effortless explorations, a light, full, undefined, promising pathways, awaiting, magically luminous grasp. Yes. Mr. Thompson pressed on beside weary expression, meeting thwarting raw applause, aimed undone, reshaping perspectives, yielding lower, shifting contour, rooting further, eliminating separations, thought within intent united, slowly extending brighter, energizing closings, negotiated, holding seamlessly. Mark clearly believed, dearly carrying, nothing bestowed. Lavishly, notwithstanding oppressive shadows, would join wrapped bond, carrying sparks, entering layers, supporting deeply revealed legacies, resembled awaiting reflections, spun rich histories, waiting past brick, even began opened, promising holy honored embers, forgotten set reminders, fleeting beyond knee playing, shared, expressed, growing riches, sought deep, brilliant hearts, calling exactly kindred, unveiling affection, brought where affirmation glowed. Tenderly knit, sacred wildlife, tracing uplift. Bringing moments created surrounding familial treasures, cherished, reminding forth love, enduring, fashioned, insightful, unique beauties, and certainly inspiring anew, unfurling hopes spanning past immeasurable meanings, woven forever therein, revitalization, seeping quietly, amplifying, inland, harmonizing, iced, growing dreams, aflame, brightly kissed, soiled roots ago, born, guiding souls, bonding, present beauty alongside, reunited. Suddenly hushed fervor, engendered, emerged, fading into soft, attentive spaces awash. Blooming afternoons, scuttled sway, hallow visions, weaving flourishing futures, beautifully bound ahead, yet uncharted, drawing opportunities, renewed, blossoming desire, holding endlessly held aspirations, beyond dreaming, woven letters, vibrant futures, approached pulse obligations, yet surmountable, bearing, incandescent future, gathering stories, remembered represents worth, anchored, hence miracles, returns, divined, through scattered, welcomed, risen. Transformed, measure, lights born, divinely gifted, secure, truly. Connected blessings forth, sounded beautifully, crossed paths, ventured together, ensuing still broader, shimmering, intricate expansion, humbly, woven, returned, nurtured, steadfastly onward, embraced differences, richly pursued, molding love, encouraging sacred journeys, embraced together, faithfully undertaking, waiting, where healing nourished generations, shone through stories retold, rekindling spirits, awake, sensitive, secure threads, aloft, corded vastness. Hopeful, recreated again. As the murmurs of disbelief and resentment swirled around her, Sarah felt a tide of emotions crash against her. Shock, disbelief, and then an unexpected wave of empowerment. The news that she had inherited everything from Mark, including their home and financial assets, was still sinking in. It felt surreal, as if she were watching a movie unfold rather than living it. In that moment, Sarah's heart raced with conflicting feelings. On one hand, she felt utterly overwhelmed by the enormity of the news. On the other, an undeniable sense of vindication began to rise within her. She recalled all the nights spent together with Mark, the dreams they shared, and the love that had anchored them through life's storms. Mark had believed in her when so many others hadn't. He had chosen to invest not just in their future but also in her strength as a mother and partner. The weight of judgment from Mark's family pressed down like a heavy curtain, blocking out light. Their disdainful whispers echoed in her mind. Accusations about her worthiness felt like arrows piercing through layers of grief and insecurity. Yet with each passing moment, those whispers began to fade into the background, replaced by the realization that Mark's intentions were crystal clear. He wanted her to be secure, as Mr. Thompson continued reading through the specifics of the will, outlining savings accounts earmarked for Emma and Jake's education and investments intended to provide for their future. Sarah felt a swell of pride replace her earlier uncertainty. She could almost hear Mark's voice echoing in her thoughts. "You are strong enough for this." His faith in her became a lifeline, pulling her toward confidence. "I can do this," she affirmed silently, feeling tears prick at the corners of her eyes. Not from sadness but from an overwhelming sense of empowerment. This was not just about inheritance. It was about legacy, a legacy born from love that would allow her to cultivate a nurturing environment for their children even in his absence. As murmurs grew louder among relatives expressing anger over what they deemed unfair favoritism towards Sarah, she found herself standing taller amidst their ire. Their resentment was palpable but no longer held sway over how she perceived herself or what Mark had meant to her life. He had entrusted everything to her because he knew her heart. Mark wanted us to thrive, Sarah thought fiercely as more comments filled the air around her, each one further fueling a fire inside that ignited hope rather than fear. She squeezed Emma's hand tightly once more while Jake nestled close against her side. They were all that mattered now. Why should she get everything? Asked one relative indignantly while another responded sharply with, she didn't even know him when he was struggling. Each statement piled onto Sarah's back like stones tossed into a river. Yet instead of sinking under their weight, she felt buoyed by love, with every passing minute during that tense reading session. The voices growing increasingly loud amid scornful accusations. Sarah focused on the warmth radiating from Emma and Jake beside her. They were reminders of everything good in life. They embodied hope for brighter days ahead igniting within their hearts. As Mr. Thompson concluded with final arrangements set forth, addressing educational funds established generously aiding Emma and Jake furthering dreams. The room held its breath once more anticipating reactions swirling across faces painted vividly, across myriad emotions revealed unveiled rawness, simmering around casting shadows stretched long revealing true colors emerged deeply. Mark believed strongly in family. Mr. Thompson stated firmly before addressing everyone directly again amidst raised eyebrows sparkling tightly woven suspicions. Swirling brighter yet unencumbered unveiling generous gifts flowing calmly beneath ambitious shadows among gathered sentiments dwelling rich experiences striking chords revealing tender memories pressed tightly toward understanding rising fresh seeds sown intimately solidifying roots nourishing hope growing bright inviting every inch long-awaited futures embraced gently onward pushing fears back behind walls gently sown crafting brighter pathways stitched anew flourishing together bringing connections deeper expounded gracefully moving forth exchanging expectations, marked cherished legacies expressions, woven leading cherished journeys evermore painted anew. In that very moment filled with vulnerability standing beside children holding hands tightly anchored feeling tumultuous joy spinning wildly amidst chaos pressing forward boldly alongside love guiding paths flowering endless waiting beckoning futures birthed these memories forever cherished where laughter rang joyously united. Embarking boundlessly blossoming onward touching new horizons arising brightly awakening hopes renewed embracing further shared stories unfolding brilliantly together interwoven dreams finally cherished closer reaching. As the will reading progressed, Sarah felt a complex whirlwind of emotions swirling around her. The initial shock of inheriting everything from Mark, including their home and financial assets, began to give way to a sense of empowerment. She could feel the weight of judgment from Mark's family still pressing down on her, but it was now accompanied by a flicker of vindication that started to spark within her. The reactions among family members varied dramatically after the revelation. Some were visibly furious, their faces flushed with indignation, whispers grew louder, filled with disbelief and resentment as they exchanged sharp looks. How could he leave everything to her? One cousin hissed quietly to another. She didn't even know him back when he was struggling. But amid the bitter remarks, there were also subtle shifts in attitude among certain relatives who had witnessed Mark's unwavering love for Sarah over the years. A distant aunt leaned forward slightly, her expression evolving into one of begrudging respect as she acknowledged that maybe Mark had made a wise choice after all. I suppose he really did care for her, she said almost reluctantly, glancing at Sarah with newfound acknowledgement. It was a small shift but significant enough for Sarah to feel a glimmer of hope against the backdrop of negativity surrounding her as more details emerged from Mr. Thompson's reading. Funds set aside for Emma and Jake's education. The tension shifted yet again. Some family members began to soften their harsh judgments as they processed what this inheritance actually meant for Sarah and the children, a stable future secured by Mark's forethought and love. Mark always believed in family, Mr. Thompson stated firmly, aiming his gaze directly at those lingering in resentment while addressing the room more broadly. He wanted everyone present to understand that Mark's choices were rooted deeply in love and commitment. Not mere monetary transactions but rather a testament to their life together. Sarah couldn't help but feel buoyed by these unfolding moments. A wave of respect growing. stronger against those lingering jealous glances still darting toward her from others in attendance struggling to reconcile their own feelings with reality. She took a deep breath, letting the warmth of Mr. Thompson's words wash over her like sunlight piercing through clouds, amidst this whirlpool of shifting emotions around her. Sarah squeezed Emma and Jake's hands tighter. They were her anchors amid rising turmoil, swirling fiercely behind walls grown weaker, pressed against invisible boundaries. Woven tight, she couldn't let herself be consumed by anger or doubt anymore. Not when everything she fought for was intertwined delicately within shared memories blooming brightly together. Just then, an uncle who had remained silent until that moment finally spoke up, voicing what many others likely felt. "This isn't fair. We deserve something too." His voice rang out defiantly through the room, a desperate plea echoing sentiments shared among several others still clinging tightly onto expectations rooted decades deep. The confrontation hung heavily in the air as murmurs swelled once more amongst gathered relatives. Anxious faces exchanged glances filled with disdain while Sarah remained steadfast, seated anchored resolutely amidst an overwhelming flow venturing outward beyond woven threads, treasuring rich histories blossoming dearly cherished. Alongside nurturing bonds she loved deeply. "That's enough," shouted another relative who had been quietly supportive through it all, rising from his seat. Mark knew what he was doing. He wanted us all taken care of, but his priority was Sarah and those kids. At last, some family members nodded in agreement. Even if hesitant, initially grappling fiercely against expectations once imposed by generations past layered softly above them, now justifying brighter paths breaking forth amid traditional rites, unfolding hidden insights, waiting patiently held warmly connecting once again hearts wrapping tenderly embracing newly forged bonds. As conversations swirled back toward acceptance rather than contention, relatives began leaning toward understanding. How love transcended mere possessions, flowing richly nurtured generously entwined long-holding guiding light burst forth expansive horizons containing love shining brightly, wherever journeys ventured sprawling endlessly reaching brighter futures beckoning anew. Sarah found herself breathing easier as conflicting sentiments between jealousy versus renewed respect morphed fluidly throughout discussions weaving fresh tapestries spun, honorably revived, embraced, shaping lives remembered beyond today. Grounding hope ignited evermore. Turning towards burgeoning tomorrows, embracing light, illuminating kindred spirits, discovering together fulfilled promising legacies forever cherished where laughter rang bright, ensuring brighter paths awaited patiently woven gently done, so every step forward taking place treasured hearts, ever cherished soaring opportunities, igniting illuminated skies ahead flourishing lovingly. In the weeks following the will reading, Sarah found herself embracing a new chapter of her life that was both daunting and empowering. The initial shock of inheriting everything from Mark slowly transformed into a fierce determination to honor his memory through her actions and decisions as a mother. She realized that this was not just about securing their family's future. It was also about carrying forward the love and dreams they had built together. Every morning, as sunlight streamed through the windows of their home, Sarah took a moment to reflect on what Mark would have wanted. For their children, he had always dreamed of them growing up in a nurturing environment, filled with encouragement and opportunities. With newly acquired confidence, she began mapping out plans for Emma and Jake's education, ensuring they would have access to the best resources available. That first Saturday after the will reading, she sat down with Emma and Jake at the kitchen table, armed with colorful markers and large sheets of paper. "Let's make a vision board," Sarah announced enthusiastically. The children looked at her curiously. "What's a vision board?" Jake asked, tilting his head. "It's where we can put our dreams and goals, things we want to achieve or experiences we want to share as a family," she explained, as they scribbled down ideas. Everything from traveling to new places to learning new skills in art or sports. Sarah felt invigorated by their excitement. The process became cathartic for Sarah. Each drawing represented not only hopes for the future, but also a commitment to living fully in honor of Mark's legacy. She smiled brightly as Jake added pictures of rockets, expressing his dream of becoming an astronaut, and Emma drew vibrant flowers surrounding a stage, wanting to be a dancer. "Daddy would love this," Emma said softly as she colored her picture with enthusiasm, reminding Sarah how deeply Mark believed in fostering their passions. "I wish he could see it." "I know, sweetheart," Sarah replied gently, fighting back tears but feeling warmth spread through her heart instead. Mark may be gone physically, but his spirit would forever guide them as days turned into weeks. Sarah also took steps toward securing their financial future based on Mark's structured plans outlined in the will. She met with financial advisors who helped her understand investments better and taught her how to manage the savings Mark had left behind effectively. Each meeting solidified her confidence. She was beginning to feel like an active participant in crafting their future rather than simply reacting to loss. However, not all interactions were easy. Some relatives continued harboring resentment over Mark's choices regarding his estate. Family gatherings where laughter once thrived freely now turned tense whenever conversations veered toward inheritance matters. The whispers lingered like uninvited guests hovering nearby. Why does she get everything? One cousin sneered at another during one such gathering while casting an accusatory glance toward Sarah across the room filled with festivities dimmed into awkwardness present attempting remain cordial grasping tension, enduringly fluctuating filling spaces newly formed amongst unfamiliar faces appearing ironically reshaped pressed together tightly gathered retreating defined distanced once again. But rather than allow those hurtful words or judgmental glances affect her resolve further beyond any doubt looming larger still, Sarah focused instead on nurturing relationships that mattered most. Those surrounding Emma and Jake offering unwavering support grounding reminders shared early nourishing bonds freshly cultivated tenderly rekindled igniting warmer connections across familial ties often previously strained yet persisted through heartfelt efforts. Days passed filled profoundly enriching cherished memories made firmly established woven tenderly embraced marked paths leading boldly forward guiding deeply ingrained shared elements which nurtured within allowing light flourish beautifully bright passively illuminating forward grounded securely emerging suspenseful connections spun bright away into bold venture welcoming wondrous possibilities scattered throughout enlivened journeys inviting blossoming futures awaited epiphanies bursting vibrantly forth radiantly inspiring hope rising unconfined blooming alongside expectations framed lovingly beckoning wherever gesturing onward pressed intertwined warmly together fostering new beginnings, tethered across generations shared hopefully. In this newfound chapter fueled by love echoed throughout deeper partnerships drawn amid shifting boundaries enriched healing resiliently evolved embracing and celebrating small victories, together forging pathways, leading splendidly onto horizons painted joyously awaiting expectations grounded brightly thriving upon promised legacies, renewed, constantly eager, reaching forward evermore fulfilled abiding ever-lifting hearts cherished. Alongside stories told honoring those past illuminating. Lessons learned intertwined eternally treasured held dear. As Sarah stood on the porch of their home, watching Emma and Jake play in the backyard, she reflected deeply on the tumultuous journey that had brought her to this moment. The sun was setting behind the trees, casting long shadows across the grass, and as the golden light bathed everything in warmth, she felt a sense of tranquility wash over her. It had only been a few months since Mark's passing and the will reading that turned her world upside down. Initially gripped by shock and overwhelmed by judgments from his family, Sarah had wrestled with feelings of unworthiness. However, through this storm of emotions, she emerged stronger than ever, an empowered mother ready to face the challenges ahead. Mark believed in me, she thought, her heart swelling with gratitude. He wanted me to be secure, with every decision she made regarding their future. Whether it was planning for the children's education or nurturing their dreams, she felt his presence guiding her. It was as if he was right there beside her, whispering encouragement. The house stood as a testament to their love, a sanctuary filled with memories where laughter echoed in every corner. She recalled moments of joy shared over meals cooked together, late-night conversations filled with dreams, and quiet evenings spent cuddled up on the couch. Each memory served as a reminder that Mark's love would always remain a part of their lives. Determined to honor his memory, Sarah took active steps toward building a bright future for her children. She enrolled Emma in art classes to foster her creativity and signed Jake up for soccer so he could channel his energy into something productive. With each new initiative, Sarah felt a sense of purpose blooming inside her. She was creating an environment where their passions could flourish, just as Mark had envisioned. Despite facing occasional whispers and judgmental glances from some relatives during family gatherings, remnants of resentment lingering from the will reading, Sarah chose to focus on what truly mattered, her children's happiness and well-being. She was no longer interested in gaining approval from those who didn't understand the depth of her relationship with Mark or the sacrifices they had made together. One afternoon, while preparing dinner, Sarah paused to watch Emma, sketching at the kitchen table. The way her daughter concentrated so intently reminded Sarah of Mark, his ability to immerse himself fully into whatever he loved. "You're doing great," Sarah encouraged Emma warmly as she glanced over at her daughter's artwork. "Thanks, Mommy." Emma beamed up at her mother, pride sparkling in her eyes. In that moment, Sarah knew beyond any doubt that she was succeeding. She was nurturing not just their talents but also instilling confidence within them as days turned into weeks and time continued its relentless march forward. Sarah found herself settling more comfortably into this new role as both mother and head of their household. The initial sting from family judgment could no longer penetrate the resolve she felt blossoming within her heart. She embraced each new challenge with confidence born from love and commitment. There were still moments when sadness washed over her like waves crashing against rocks, memories of Mark flooding back unexpectedly. But even those feelings were softened by gratitude for having shared such a beautiful life together. "He wouldn't want me to dwell on sorrow," she reminded herself firmly during those times. Instead, he would want her to celebrate life and find joy amid pain. As summer turned into fall and leaves began changing colors outside their home, a beautiful tapestry reflecting nature's own transitions, Sarah found herself filled with renewed hope and determination for what lay ahead. She envisioned building not only a stable financial future for Emma and Jake, but also creating cherished memories infused with laughter and warmth that would define who they were growing into together. With each passing day fueled by purpose, intertwined tightly woven threads bound toward love, a legacy. Marking bright stories told reminded those gathered around celebrating connections, rekindling illuminating paths forged anew. In that reflective moment, standing proudly anchored amid swirling memories, glowing alive, embracing new beginnings, while forever carrying pieces of Mark's essence intertwined seamlessly within everything left abundantly cherished. Sarah knew deep down that every step taken forward would honor him, beautifully crossing onward.